Greetings, guys. And just for fun and something to talk about, something to make a video on, I'm going to give my prediction for what the outcome, a likely outcome of the Trump, Zelensky, and the European leaders summit is going to be if they come to an agreement that ends this thing. And I know a lot of people aren't going to like it. And it's just my gut feeling. I'm not saying this is what I want. I'm just thinking this is what I predict is going to happen, or some version of this. First of all, we know that Ukraine is not going to be able to join NATO like they want. The number one thing that Ukraine wants is a guarantee of protection. But we also know that Putin is not going to give up, the Donbass and what was the other one? Is it Crimea? He's just not going to do it. I got a dog licking my arm here as I'm trying to do a video. Mason, this is Mason right here. But and yeah, that sucks. The thought that I know people, and I can't stand Putin, but I agree with Trump that ending the war at all cost is important because you're talking about millions of people dying. It's just and the potential for it to grow into a war that involves other countries and potentially the entire world. And who would even want to risk that, even if the risk was ever so slight? It's unbelievable. I can tell you that's a whole other video about who and why wants that. And it always has to do with the same thing, money and power. But assuming that you're a normal person that doesn't think that people should be dying every day by the truckload, by the train load over there, actually, it's a lot of people dying, then you should understand that Ukraine's going to have to give up something. In a good, perfect world, nobody should have to give up anything when the neighbor comes and invades. I agree with that 100%. Nobody should have to give up anything. But we got to remember, Texas used to be Mexico. A lot of places used to be other countries. A lot of places used to be Mexico. Every developed country at some point has had to give up something. And it's kind of just the cost of doing business in terms of losing a war. When you lose, you lose. That's why you didn't win. So, unless you just love bloodshed, at some point each side has to feel like they walked away and got something. And it sucks because you and I don't want Putin to get anything, but that's not the way the real world works. I know a lot of liberals and Democrats are freaking out, but you got to remember, these are the people that literally, they think politics is like the trans protest pre-meeting, where it's like we have one person in the group of 1,000 who is sound challenged, so no applauding. We're just gonna tug our earlobe when we agree with something. I mean, those people are off the reservation in terms of logic. They don't understand politics. They don't understand negotiation. I've talked about this in other videos, and I'm not teaching you guys anything you don't know. So back to my prediction. What I think is going to happen is Trump is going to give Zelensky the protection he needs, but it's going to be some unprecedented kind of protection. Because Trump does shit like that. He does things like that have never been done, like flying freaking stealth bombers over the heads of heads of state. I think what's going to happen is he's going to come up with some kind of an agreement where America and European and American military are going to be on the ground in Ukraine. I'm not even going to take that out, man. It's been a long day, and I just got done from a 3-mile walk. I'm tired, but with the dogs. So they're going to have a military presence on the ground in Ukraine, and it's going to be under the heading of something like training. We're going to train troops. We're going to do this, but it's going to be a never-ending thing where there's no time limit. There'll be some clause in there. Then Putin will know what's going on, but he's going to have to sign it, or he's just going to have to fucking face the consequences in terms of these secondary sanctions and all the other shit that's destroyed his economy. He wants out of this because he may be an evil motherfucker, but he wants out of this. This shit is not working in his favor. And so, I'm terrible to say it. I think Ukraine's going to lose some of the land that Russia demands so that Putin can go back and tell his people, yeah, we got this and this was worth millions of young men and old men dying. That was worth it, but we won. We showed Ukraine. You got to let these fuckers be able to face their own population. That's just the way it works. And Democrats are going to be like, no, we got to go to war. We got to go to war. War. You know, Putin's or Trump's an asset, a Russian asset, because he shook Putin's hand. Fucking off the... Man, if I live to be 200 years old, I hope I don't. But if I did, I will never, ever understand how the left has sunk into some new form of bottom feederness. It's of ignorance, man. It's got to be willful ignorance or some fucking hypnosis. Nobody could be that fucking dumb. But that's what we're dealing with. So shine those people on and prepare yourself for some kind of agreement where, you know, yeah, we already talked, or Trump already talked about, you know, we'll have people on the ground digging minerals out. And that's kind of an innovative way. I had never, you know, that's never been done to my knowledge where, you know, that's the protection. And I think the theory in a layman's terms was that if we have companies digging minerals, rare earths minerals out of the ground in Ukraine, Russia's not going to attack because that's like fucking with America because we got people there. I don't know if that'll work or not. It seems a little weak to me, but I like the idea of that in addition to some agreement that lets American and NATO troops be in Ukraine. The reason that's important is because, you know, Russia's not going to be so quick to attack because if American troops get hurt and we don't have a Democrat in the White House, there'll be hell to play or to pay. I mean, Putin looked right at the fucking world and said, yeah, Trump's right. I never would have attacked if he was the president. You know, the Democrats are like, yeah, that's because they're best buddies. No, that's because you fucking idiots don't recognize strength. You don't understand the beauty of strength. You don't understand that you can shake a man's hand and look him in the eye and dominate him with kindness because you have strength. And if that's not enough, oh, what's that noise? Holy shit. So, you know, these guys, I know I circle back to these guys because they're so fucked up that it's like a mosquito flying around my head. I just want to slap it. But anyways, yeah, I think I made my point. There'll be some kind of permanent NATO presence on the ground, or maybe not listed as permanent, but with open-ended. And I had another idea when I was walking the dogs that I thought would be thrown in there. But I think that's it. I'll just continue on a little bit, and I'll just throw this up on my YouTube channel because I'll just put the first part on TikTok. The neocons, yeah, neoconservatives, and the what do they call them? The fucking libicons, the leprechauns, the democons. You might be asking yourself, why are they suddenly so bloodthirsty? Why do they love war? And again, like I said, this is conservatives too, Republicans anyways. These are Republicans have a terrible history of this shit. The difference between us and the left is we're willing to call our own people out. There is no doing wrong. You know, these guys, look, these are the people that were telling you Biden was like one of the most competent people on the face of the earth in the history of earth. These are the people that said, yay, Obama, you got a Nobel Peace Prize for just showing up to work and being a little darker than everyone else. And oh, by the way, Nobel Peace Prize as he rocketed and bombed about 40 different countries throughout his entire 8 years. The guy was like launching missiles left, right, and center. Trump has ended God knows how many wars, prevented other wars, and he's working on the biggest one. He said he was going to do it on his first day of office, and he dang it. Yeah, well, that's called confidence. That's something you lefties will never understand. That's why it shocks you, and that's why you're like a little junior high school kid. He said he was going to end the war, and he didn't. He's a dumb orange man. Fucking unsalvageable, man. You guys are unsalvageable. But back to the real world. Those guys want war because think about this. If you own and this is not something new. This has been going on since before I was born. If you own the company that makes bullets or tanks or stealth airplanes, you know, Lockheed Martin, McDonnell Douglas, whatever, all of these places, or you own thousands or millions or trillions of dollars of stock in these companies, like all these freaking Congress people do, you ain't making money if people aren't getting killed and killing with your weapons and your bullet shells and your badass this. And I love military equipment. That's if you were able to see around my house, I've got, Apache helicopter die-cast models and shit. I like that shit, man. I love it. I love guns. I love things that do things. I appreciate that. And I'm a big fan of the military. But let's face it, what good is a general if there ain't no war? What good is a fucking a bomb factory if nobody's dropping bombs? So it is in the best interest of these multi-gazillionaires and the people that buy stocks in their companies. It's in the best interest to have war going on, and it doesn't matter where it is, as long as we're shipping ammo to these people or we're shipping our tanks. And that's a fucking pretty sick way to live. And Trump is hated by the left and hated by a lot of the right because he doesn't play that game. You can love him or hate him, and yeah, he grabbed a pussy, But I'm tell you what, he does not like senseless war. He is the president of peace, and that drives these, the liberals that are the Democrats, the commies that are out protesting. Yeah, it's the rich, it's the Elon Musk and Trump, it's these millionaires. They're the ones that are literally out protesting to keep the millionaires and billionaires that they pretend to hate, to keep them rich. Because all of their protests are all about fucking, the end result is more war, more bloodshed. That's what they love. They're like fucking vampires. And the ones that are out there holding the signs, I don't know where the river is. I just know that if it gets to the sea, someone in Palestine could be free. They may be ignorant, but they're still playing a part. They're a little cog in a machine of ignorance, just absolute money over lives. Unbelievable. So, yeah, that's my rant for the day. And now I'm going to play Call of Duty. So, later.